Anyway, okay, welcome to real life versus online trends part 3. Should I move the camera? It's fine. A couple months ago, I did a video talking about all of the differences between what I actually see in real life in my day-to-day basis versus what I see on the internet. And in that video, I asked you guys to leave me comments telling me the differences you see in the place where you live. And I got a bunch of comments. I made a part 2 where I talked all about places like Paris, New York, Mexico City. What else did I talk about? Spain, France, the Midwest, and a bunch of other places. So I decided to make a part 3. We're gonna be starting off with Germany. It was very requested in my last video. You guys mentioned there are not a lot of trends, which was kind of surprising to me. It kind of depends on where you look. If you're in a bigger city, you're gonna see trendier stuff in comparison to a smaller city or a rural town. You also said a lot of people wear shoulder bags, sandbags, specials, gazelles, which are definitely the shoe of 2024. I feel like I literally saw everyone wearing these shoes. They also said it differs depending on how much money people have. I also got a comment from someone in a smallish town from Germany. I don't know exactly which town this is, but apparently it's quite small. The person who wrote this comment goes to high school, so that's the reference we have. This person said usually people in their 20s wear a mix of straight-legged jeans and jeans a bit wider than that. And people in high school are dressing in the clean girl aesthetic with the occasional skinny jean, which is not seen as often, especially in the younger generations. Other than that, apparently people are wearing long skirts, bows, but she says it's not as excessive as it is online. Leopard print, sandbags, Converse are also pretty big. I will say I don't think Germany is as trendy as other cities in Europe, but you still see trends every now and then, especially in the larger cities. Now we're gonna move on to Singapore. Apparently in Singapore, people tend to catch onto trends rather fast. They said something that I thought was super interesting, and it was that this wasn't the case around 6 years ago. It definitely changed when social media kind of took over, especially with TikTok. They said art schools have extremely online fashion. I think this is the case for every single art school everywhere in the world. I think it just comes hand in hand with creative people. They also mentioned how jorts, ribbons, maxi skirts, Mary Janes are so popular now. Doc Martens, vintage camisoles, leg warmers, and the Y2K style are quite common at the moment. Apparently they lean a lot into a Cuban style. I've seen this style before, I just didn't know that's how it was called. This is super interesting. I think it's super unique. It's kind of layering a lot of things. She mentions how they also lean into hypebeast and sporty style. She mentions how Lolita fashion is really easy to find when you go downtown, usually due to the amount of anime fans and conventions that you're gonna find there. She also talks about the average person. Usually these people are wearing Uniqlo. Apparently Uniqlo is the unofficial uniform for uni students. The next comment is from someone in the American West. This person said when it comes to trends, they have been experiencing something similar to the Texans and the Western vibe. So apparently people in the American West have been wearing cowboy boots, suede, double denim, etc., which are definitely the trends that have been very popular this fall. And she mentions how she's very happy that this is trendy because it's made her feel more comfortable embracing styles that she saw all the time growing up but thought were too rural to be cool. I actually really like this. I like when trends give us the chance to wear certain styles that maybe we didn't really feel as comfortable wearing before. The next place we're gonna talk about is Belgium. Sambas and Campus Adidas are very popular, but you can also see Nikeers or New Balance shoes. When it comes to clothing, people are leaning into the clean girl aesthetic, ribbons, long coats, scarves, knit sweaters, leather jackets, and off-the-shoulder tops. I love off-the-shoulder tops. That's something that I'm never gonna stop wearing. Also, she mentions how trends online are pretty common in there, like the ribbons. They are most likely on sweaters and t-shirts. Apparently, adults wear straight pants, and brands like STWD and Stussy are common in there. We're gonna go to California now. I'm very excited to talk about this place because I slightly mentioned it on my last video, but I didn't really have a lot of information. This is from someone who lives pretty close to LA. They said they see a lot of jorts, long skirts, and camo. I was actually looking at a camo top that I wanted to thrift the other day. I really liked the top, but I kind of wanted to get some inspiration into how could I possibly wear it. So I looked up camo tops on Pinterest, and the only thing that came up was kind of a very 2017 vibe, and it immediately took me back to those years when Trasher was super popular. I think it goes hand in hand with how California is not wearing as many trends as they used to wear, if they are still wearing camo. Maybe it's a very California thing and it's not really a trend at all, because people online are not wearing camo. I haven't really seen it this year. And apparently people are dressing in coquette and bows in the hair and stuff like that. I see coquette being big in California, especially since I think I've always thought that music and fashion are kind of very aligned with each other. I think one can exist without the other. I think a lot of music inspires fashion and a lot of fashion inspires music. And when it comes to coquette, I do think the reason why it became so popular during the past few years, it's because Lana's music gained a lot of popularity on TikTok, especially with the younger generations. She has a lot of songs mentioning California and places in there, so I can see coquette being big in there because of Lana's influence. She also mentions how most people lean towards athleisure, probably because of the heat. Definitely less adventurous than New York. They also mentioned how California used to be a huge place for trends to start, but that stopped in the early 90s. I did a slight research and this is what I found. Apparently in the last century, trends were heavily influenced by the rise of the entertainment industry, surf culture, and youth movements. However, with the rise of the internet and traveling, fashion became more global and trends began emerging from different cities around the world. New York, Paris, Tokyo, they kind of diminished California's dominance. When you think about 2024, that makes even more sense now. With TikTok, you don't only have New York, Tokyo, and Paris as the highest, trendiest cities, and London obviously, but you have people from all over the world in different places coming up with different ideas and styles. It makes sense that that's why California's dominance has diminished. I think when it comes to California, it was the place to be during the 2010s as well. Every single influencer used to move there, and I think now the place to be is definitely New York. I guess California kind of fell off. I've also seen a lot of TikToks of people saying if you go to California, they're kind of stuck in 2014, which that sounds like a dream to me. I miss 2014 so much. I talk about that all the time, but it's definitely it stayed behind when it comes to the 2020s. So that's apparently the reason why California is not as big on trends anymore. Let's talk about Norway now. Apparently in this country there are a lot of online trends, but you also see real life specific trends that are big in their specific country. She says it's funny because she lived in New York a couple of years ago, and she says it was very interesting how she saw New Yorkers adapting trends that she had seen in Norway so many years ago. I think it's interesting how people in New York could totally be taking inspiration from people from Norway, and then we all just credit New Yorkers for starting trends because that's where everyone is. I also got a comment from someone in Greece, which is also super interesting because that's the first comment that I get from Greece. So apparently people in there can be divided into two categories. The first one is most of the girls, and apparently they tend to wear clothes from athletic brands like Adidas or Nike. They tend to wear hobo bags or mini bags, and they follow certain trending rules like no skinny jeans. They combine the whole look with straight black hair and long nails. And apparently the second category are girls who are more artistic. They follow a grungy style. Baggy pants, flannels, and lots of jewelry are a must. They combine the look with a tote bag with a funny text written. This person says she's in a band, which I think is the coolest thing ever. Props to you, that's so cool. She says she goes to a lot of places with other musicians, and she mostly sees looks influenced by the 70s and the 80s. So I think that's it for this video. I definitely included less places. The other places are gonna be included in episode 4, so stay tuned for that. Also, if your city hasn't been mentioned in this one or the last video, definitely leave me a comment down below. So thank you guys for watching this. I love you, and yeah.